following information is presented for discussion and educational purposes only and is not intended or provided as treatment information for any specific person or behavior. If you or a loved one is having behavioral difficulties, you are encouraged to seek professional consultation as soon as possible. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 4 of Ask the Behavior Doctors. We're here in Scottsdale, Arizona, bringing you all of the latest information, news, and stories that relate to behavioral science. So today we're going to talk about a couple of things. We're going to talk about a new study that just came out talking about the difficult child and the child's temperament and how they respond to different types of parenting styles. The other thing we're going to talk about today is this question about entitled teens. Getting a lot of questions from parents about how do I fix my child's entitled behavior? So we're going to discuss those two things today and get some solutions for you here. So very first thing we're going to talk about is there's a new study basically finding or stating that kids with difficult temperaments, it's again, it's a very common book title, The Difficult Child. Children with difficult temperaments benefit more from positive parenting and suffer more from negative parenting. This is something that's going to be valuable for parents to know. So let me give you a little clarification on what a difficult child is. A difficult child, in the sense of this article, is children who have more of a range of emotions, much more of a low to a high, children that have a lot of emotional shifts during the day, children that are more easily upset, and children who show less evidence of their ability to self-regulate. So basically what this new study is saying is that these difficult children are more sensitive to and responsive to their environment. So they're more sensitive to parenting style. So the article obviously explains parenting style as positive or negative. Positive parenting style is a parent's style who is more reinforcement-based, more praise-based, more relational-based. A negative parenting style is one where it's a little bit more punitive, a little bit more aversive. The parent corrects behaviors a lot more. The parent may use punishment strategies or techniques a lot more, and they may be more likely to yell, scream, or basically confront the child more on negative types of behaviors. So this definitely aligns with everything I've seen in my clinical practice for the last, 7 years for sure. A lot of children I know of who are described as difficult are definitely more sensitive. They're more attuned. They're more receptive to what's going on in their environment. So they're definitely going to be more influenced by that. The value of this, though, to parents is that if you have a child who is labeled or considered difficult, a child who is overly sensitive, overly emotional, or who shows difficulty adjusting to changes or sudden types of things in the environment, the value is that you can adjust your parenting style accordingly and be more receptive. This is what I like to tell a lot of my parents. They come to me, and many parents can be very, very upset and take this very personal. And they can come to me and they can say, Jake, my child's behavior is just all over the place. It's ranging all over the place, and they're just out of control, or they're really not happy, and they're behaving in a way that is just makes me feel bad as a parent, and I just feel like an awful parent. A lot of parents come to me telling me that they just don't feel like a good parent. These kids can be so sensitive to the parent's demeanor and to how the parent affects the environment that they can make parents definitely feel that way, right? That they're not good parents. But this is what I like to tell parents is that with kids like that, it's not that you're doing anything wrong. It's that with kids who are difficult, you have to do almost everything right. And when I say that, because they're so attuned to their environment and so affected by it, that every little thing the parent does can drastically change that child's response or that behavior in that moment. So I like to tell parents, it's not about what you're doing wrong. It's just that we have to get you on track to doing things consistently right and well. And by doing that, we can get more consistent, steady, healthy behavior from your child. So that's the important part to focus on as a parent if you feel like you have a difficult child, is that you have to increase your skills in your toolbox to do most things as right as possible so that you can even out your child's behavioral consistency. It really comes down to parenting confidence. The most effective parents I typically see definitely come from a sense of confidence, knowing that they have the skills, that they have the tools, that they have the resources to manage whatever their child's going to throw at them. They feel confident and comfortable in their ability to prevent behavior, to manage behavior, and to redirect it in almost any environment, under almost any condition. Again, that confidence comes with time, it comes with experience, and it comes with that purposeful learning process. That's what we do here at our practice. We give parents the skills they need to be the most effective behavioral managers they can possibly be, to be the best teachers, the best instructors, and the best parents they can be. It's not about having a sick child, it's not about having a broken child. It's just that some children require a more tailored, expert approach. And that's what we're about here, is giving parents the tools to do that well and to do that consistently. So parents, I encourage all of you, if you feel like your confidence or your lack of tools is something that may be contributing to some of the inconsistency in your child's behavior, I encourage you to seek professional consultation so that you can really address your skills and make sure that you're maximizing the environment and its effectiveness to consistently occasion the best behavior and to not support and sustain the behaviors we don't want, okay? So some signs of some positive, confident parents that I typically see in my work and consultation are, I'm gonna just say some statements and, kind of tell you what I see. So many confident parents would be able to tell me, I have the tools to manage whatever happens. They feel like they have the experience, the tools, the resources to manage it. And again, it's something that we review in a lot of our consultation with our parents, is we'll review scenarios or we'll do in vivo coaching situations. Well, we'll run parents through scenarios and we'll analyze and break down certain parts of what happened so that parents can make sure that they're doing everything consistently well. And when I say everything, it's the way you prompt, the way you occasion behavior, the way you set up different rules and contingencies, the way you arrange everything around your child, the way you talk to them, the way you respond to them, the way you consequence certain behavior, the way you teach them, all of that stuff matters. So again, confident parents feel like they've put in the work and they've put in, the time to really research and learn as many techniques as possible so that they feel good about having the tools to change and manage their child's behavior. A confident parent would also be able to look at me and say, I have a good kid who just needs a little bit of help making good choices consistently. I will tell you, after all my years in behavioral consultation, I can honestly tell you I have not once met what I consider to be a bad child. I've met children who are responding to inconsistent or bad environments, certainly, but I've never met a bad child. And I think many parents can take their children's behavior very personally and can feel very judged by other parents because they feel like that label of being a difficult or bad child is being put on their own child. I can tell you this, parents, again, it's not about being a bad child, it's about children responding to their environment. Children are shaped by their environment. All of our behaviors are shaped by conditioning in our environment. So I really want you to take away that personalization to the behavior and know that the behavior is purely a product of what's going on in the environment, and that when you design an optimal environment and you're doing your best as a parent, that you are going to get consistently better behaviors. So again, these parents are able to say that I have a good kid who just makes some bad choices. We don't take behavior personally, parents. We never take it personally. We know that we have good kids. We know that we have kids that when they have the skills and those skills work really well, we'll use those skills consistently. Another thing that the really confident parents can say is, I'm not mad and I'm not going to be overwhelmed by anything my child does. And my child's not in trouble. I want to have opportunities to help my kid. That's the way we should look at difficult moments with our children, is that that's an opportunity to practice. That's an opportunity to coach your child and help them make better choices and practice better skills. Remember, really conveying that to yourself and your child, that I'm not mad and you're not in trouble. As a consultant, and these aren't even my own children, as a consultant when working with kids, I will often say that exact things to kids. I will literally just breathe. I'll be calm, I'll maintain a low tone of voice, and I'll say, look, I'm not mad at you, and you're not in trouble. I want to help you. I do. I want to help you make good choices, and I want to help you get exactly what you want. That should be the spirit that every parent is bringing to that dynamic. Because again, by bringing that energy, by bringing that demeanor to that interaction with your child, they're going to respond more appropriately. Who doesn't want to work with someone that wants to help and work with them? If your child knows that you're on their side, that you're not taking their behavior personally, that you do feel calm and confident in your ability to manage it, and that they're not in trouble, that you're not mad, and that this moment can just pass, who wouldn't feel better in that moment to be able to just let it go and move forward? So again, that's what you're optimizing in that moment, is your child's mindset, that mentality of, I'm not in trouble, my mom's not mad, or my dad's not mad, and I can move through this moment quickly. That's what we absolutely want to convey. Another thing confident parents would be able to say is, I'm going to give my child as many chances as I need to practice good behavior. And that's what I tell parents, is that everything your child doesn't do consistently that we want them to do consistently, we should really conceptualize as a skill, as a behavioral response that we want to shape and build more consistently. Your child needs practice. Skills are not learned on accident. Some skills or some certain things can be learned quickly, but they never happen on accident, meaning that there has to be some kind of purposeful practice opportunity or some kind of learning opportunity where your child's exposed to it. And some children just need a little bit more practice than others. If you have a difficult child who is overly sensitive to their environment, arranging those practice opportunities and seeing every difficult moment as an opportunity to practice, again, it decreases the charge to the moment. It makes it less overwhelming to look at it that way. And conveying that to your child will also make them feel less overwhelmed, less guilty, less ashamed of that difficult moment, and will help them kind of move through it quickly. Another thing confident parents will be able to say is, once my kid has the skills and I do a good job of making these behaviors valuable, they will do them more often. Again, when children have those skills and those skills work really well, especially those skills work better than any other skills, children will do those behaviors more consistently. I promise. I have been in many environments with some of the most extreme behaviors you can imagine. And I can tell you that when children do what they know how to do, and children do what works. So if we replace what they know how to do with something that's more effective, and we make that work really well, we will get consistently better behaviors. The last thing I hear from a lot of parents who I feel are really confident and positive is this mindset of, it's not about perfection, it's about improvement. And I want to make that very clear to my parents or anyone who works with children, is we can't expect perfection. Behavior's not going to go from totally awful to perfect overnight. Remember, if a behavior involves years of learning history, involves multiple people, involves thousands of opportunities where that child's done that behavior, that will take a long time to overcome. That's a conditioning history. That's years of time where your child has learned that pattern and has been conditioned in that way by their environment. To change that takes time. And so I tell parents all the time, it's not about perfection, it's about improvement. As long as you are setting goals for your child's behavior and that child is making improvement, even small improvement, but making improvement towards those goals, that's where the emphasis should be. And you should not panic as long as improvement is occurring in some way for those behaviors. So again, those are the signs that I see as a professional from confident parents. And I can tell you this, the more confident you are, the more positive you are, the less you'll have to swing back to the negative, the negative parent. When parents do get overly negative, I find, and rely overly on punitive or aversive types of things, typically that involves one of two things. Either their mood or something stressful is going on in their life, and they're responding to that accordingly, or that's kind of a panic response I see from a lot of parents, where that's telling me, or they're telling me that, hey, I don't have the skills, I don't have a big toolbox, and this is the only thing I know how to do. Remember, we do what we know and we do what works. So the same principle that goes for your children goes for you. So parents, I encourage you, if you want to get consistently better behavior from a difficult child, be more positive and be positive more consistently. If you feel like you're constantly or consistently going to the negative end of that spectrum and influencing your child's difficult moments in a negative way, then I encourage you, get some coaching, read some resources, get some tools, really improve your toolbox, improve your repertoire, of skills. Parents, you should feel confident. You should feel comfortable that you can bring your child in most places, manage anything they're going to do, and you should feel really confident that your child's a good child who's going to make good choices consistently when those choices pay off. All right, parents, moving into our next question about how do I address my entitled teenager? I get this question a lot from parents, and it basically goes something like this. Jake, my kid is just so entitled, they're spoiled, or they just think they deserve access to everything. They don't appreciate what I give them, and they just don't value what they have. They seem entitled to the things that they have in their life. And how do I get rid of that behavior? How do I replace that? How do I make them be more appreciative, more giving, more caring and considerate of others? So wanted to put together a list today for some of our parents and give you some ideas for some things to do from a behavioral perspective. A lot of parents will address this as a very subjective, kind of value-based parenting issue, when in reality, caring and consideration for others and empathy is absolutely a behavioral skill, just like any other behavioral skill. And it's something we can address just like any other type of behavioral concern. So I came up with some ideas, and our first one is I want you to emphasize the behavior. I want you to start teaching, praising, and reinforcing work ethic really early in the child's life as much as possible. If your child is older, if they are obviously currently a teenager or a preteen, start emphasizing work ethic early. And what I mean by work ethic is the most entitled, spoiled, or unappreciative teenagers that I've ever worked with saw no connection between what they do and what they get. They were used to getting things given to them. They were used to getting things for free. They didn't see the value in the valuable things they had in their life. So the way to build value is to make your child more aware of that value, but to link good behavior with good quality of life. And the best way to do that is to build that work ethic early. Emphasize the connection that, hey, you're going to get the basics. I'm going to take care of you as your parent. I'm going to give you what you need. But if you want to have the most awesome resources, the best clothes, if you want to get a great car, I want to give those things to you, but I need you to earn them. And those things don't come free. Those things are valuable. Those things cost us as parents. So they need to cost you something as a teenager to get. They don't come free. They are valuable. So you want to teach your kid that concept. Again, emphasizing that work ethic concept early. So some ways easily to do that is, give your child the basics, obviously, but if they want a new video game, if they want special access to a cell phone, if they want special apps on their cell phone, if they want clothing, if they want whatever, incorporate this concept of earning some of that stuff. Provide options perhaps for chores. Provide options for earning additional money by doing extra tasks for others. I like this concept also of parents matching what kids will contribute. I like that because it shows goodwill, especially to a teenager. If you're willing to say to them, you know what, I want to encourage you to save, and I'm not trying to cheat you out anything here. So what I'm willing to do is I'm willing to match in an account what you're willing to save. So with this job the next 3 months, whatever you put away, I'm willing to match in addition to that. It's certainly something that's required, but it can be helpful in showing goodwill towards your teen, that you're not trying to just cheat them out of money, but that you're willing to match the effort that they're willing to put in to earn access to those things. So again, emphasize work ethic with your child. Praise that, reinforce that. Notice when they work really, really hard on something. Give them options of things to work hard on. It can be certain tasks, school tasks, it can be chores, it can be things for other people. I would probably do hard work in multiple different types of environments. Emphasize that work ethic, praise it, notice it, make it important. You get the behaviors you consistently reinforce. Demonstrate work ethic, obviously, yourself as a parent. Show them that, when you work hard, you get the good things that you like. Put that concept of earning in your teen's vocabulary. And I tell parents this all the time, I tell kids this, I tell my employees this. I'm willing to do give you just about anything you're willing to work hard enough for to earn. I want to do that. And as parents, you want to do that with your teens. You want to give them everything you possibly can. And if they're willing to earn that, and you have the ability and means to provide resources, then that's something that you should definitely emphasize and push. Modeling that as the parent is going to be very, very powerful for your child. They don't understand what you do during the day, but sharing that with them and sharing how your work is linked to your quality of life can be an important model for your child. I always tell parents, give the kid the basics, do the basic types of stuff, but make them earn the extra things and make that concept consistent. Don't give away super awesome things for free. So a lot of parents, of course the holidays are coming up, and of course, it makes sense to get your child basic gifts and things like that. But if your child wants extreme gifts, lavish gifts, things that are really just above and beyond what normal children their age have, then I would absolutely consider making them earn access to that. And again, once they own that, or you own that, or once they purchase it, you can still control access to that item even beyond when it's owned. Again, if you give away something for free, it's not going to have as much value as if it's earned. So parents, make your child consistently earn, even with good grades, with decently behavior, with the absence of naughty behavior, even earning it that way is still better than giving it away for free. So parents, like I said, really make sure that all the extra special things your teen has access to are things that are linked to all of the most important behaviors that you're trying to get. A lot of times parents get in trouble too is because they tell me they're trying to be equal or they're trying to be fair between their kids. Parents, I'm here to tell you, you can't treat all behaviors equally. If you want exceptional behavior, then you've got to be willing to reward that in an exceptional way. The opposite's true though too. Your child should not have access to exceptional things if they're giving you very below average or just normal behavior. Behavior has to be linked with what they're getting and their quality of life. So I tell parents all the time, play favorites with behaviors. Let them know. This concept of a car, I have advised parents many times that, tell your children, I'll get you a basic car that you can drive around and go to school with. If you want an exceptional car, well, here's the exceptional behaviors that I need, and here's how I'm going to reward access to this exceptional car with those behaviors. Here's how I'm going to monitor. Here's going to help you make good choices with those behaviors. If your child stops giving you those behaviors that you need, well, then we need to restrict access to those awesome things. Nothing is ever earned permanently. Things should be consistently earned, acquired, and possessed. So parents, my point is play favorites with behaviors. Let them know that you will absolutely, for a child that's willing to make great decisions, go above and beyond and provide different things for those types of behaviors than you will for behaviors that are below standard or behaviors that aren't really meeting your expectation. Don't feel guilty about playing favorites with the behaviors that you really want from your child. Minimize arguing and negotiating as much as possible. This puts this child on this pedestal of being equal. I know a lot of teens feel like entitled because if their parents are successful, like somehow that success is, part of their success. And I know a lot of teens feel like with this arguing or with this constant bickering back and forth that they're somehow put on a pedestal where they have an equal opinion or say in behavior or discipline within a family system. I mean, parents, you are the parents for a reason. You're more ready than your children are to make decisions about what behaviors are acceptable, about what discipline should look like within your household. Don't allow that mindset of being an equal or having an equal say in that to allow your child to feel entitled, to feel like they have a right to do what they want to do in your home environment. It is your home. These are the resources that you have provided. You should have more say in certain types of processes. You're more prepared than they are to have more say in some types of things. So I want you to keep minimizing arguing and negotiating to a minimum. There's just times, parents, where you need to say, hey, look, this is the decision that was made. This is the reason I made it. I know you don't love it, and I don't expect you to, but I can't really continue to argue about it. Here's your choices. Here's what your options are. Pick the best one that works for you. So parents, sometimes you need to be able to say that. Now, if your child's willing to be decent and willing to earn what they're arguing for with great behavior, be willing to do that. That's the kind of negotiating we like, but we don't like loud verbal arguments. We don't like confrontational exchanges between parents and children that involve this constant process of arguing and negotiating. Limit that as much as possible. Allow your children to control some types of things and choices in their life, but only the things you're willing to let them control. If you're comfortable giving control over certain aspects, like let's say the child's music, that's not something you really are overly protective of, but you're willing to allow your child to choose the type of music they are. Here's my point. Children who are entitled often try to seek control of things in maladaptive ways. So I tell parents, if you give your child control in healthy doses, they'll try and seek it less in unhealthy ways. So parents, give your kids, your teens especially, control over the things that you feel comfortable having control over. That could be the type of music they listen to. That could be the types of shoes that they wear. That could be the types of thing they clean their car with. I mean, whatever you're willing to allow your child to have control over, be willing to let them do that. Also, too, allowing certain control over variables gives them a chance to prove their competence, to prove their good decision-making skills. So by allowing some healthy doses of control to your teen, they're more likely to learn how to manage that control effectively. Encourage, require, and reward them when doing and serving others. So doing things that benefit or serve others, really emphasize and encourage this behavior with your teens. Make that a really, really important thing. Praise that behavior big time. Make that an emphasis. Even plan events where you as parents do those things together with your teens. Emphasize the behavior of doing things that serve and benefit others. By doing that, you get your teen outside of themselves. You get them to consider the perspective and the needs of others. And you really build a healthy behavior, a healthy repertoire of empathy and giving and consideration of others that'll hopefully benefit your teen for many years to come. Ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to the end for today. We want you to please continue to submit your questions to us at info@scottsdalepbs.com. We want to give thanks to our photographer, Mr. Philip Carnevale of philipcarnevalephotography.com. And we want to thank all of you again for submitting your questions and joining us here at Scottsdale PBS and Ask the Behavior Doctors.